Hey guys, welcome back. This is going to be part 5 of the bubbles restoration. We're going to go ahead and sand down these dowel rods and then re-drill these 2 outer holes. And then I picked up a piece of sheet metal today. Normally I'll use like an 18 gauge sheet metal, but in this case I went with a 22 gauge. It's a little bit thinner. Because they really screwed this wood up, grinding it down and stuff. So I'm going with a little bit thinner metal, just so that it's a little bit easier to blend into the wood again. And it's plenty thick enough still. And it'll be a little bit easier to drill and to work with. So we are going to get these dowel rods sanded down, drill the 2 holes, and then we'll start making this metal plate that goes on the top. So let me come over here. I'm just gonna use this garbage can as my workbench for tonight. I don't feel like getting any sawhorses out. So I'm not gonna show me grinding all of it. We'll just do a little bit here. Just my little 2-inch angle grinder with 36 grit sanding disc on it. So they're nice and flush. I'm gonna go ahead and do that to the front and the back, and then we'll come back and we'll get those 2 holes drilled. Okay, they're all ground down front and back. They're nice and smooth. Now we need to find the center point of that hole. We can see that this is the original outer edge where this Bondo is, and the holes are 1.125". So we gotta measure from this edge 9/16 over, and that'll be our center of 1.125". I'm actually gonna start on the number 2 on the 2-inch line here because it's just easier to read. So we're gonna go 9/16 right there, and then we gotta go the other way to 9/16. So we know that that's our first center of our hole, right in the plus sign. Same thing over here we gotta do. This one's gonna be a little bit harder to read, but should be able to get it pretty darn close. Okay, that's gonna be close enough. So now we're gonna drill this with an 1.125" drill bit. This is a Milwaukee 1.125" hole saw. It's a thin wall, so it doesn't take up a lot of, it stays at 1.125" pretty easily. The thicker 1.125" hole saws tend to make the hole a little bit bigger than 1.125". So now, let's drill these 2 holes out. And actually, I'm perfect on that one. You can see it's just hitting the outside edge of that Bondo. This will only drill through halfway, and then you gotta flip it over and go from the other side. Okay, there's our first one. If I can get this out. And you can see how we drilled that Bondo right back out of there. Okay. Perfect. Let's take this back over to the table. Now, what we're gonna do is what, normally it doesn't do this, but we don't have a choice. These 8 holes or 10 holes where the screws go in that hold the metal plate down, they do not go all the way through the wood, but we are going to drill all the way through the wood where those go. But we're gonna use a really small 3/32 drill bit, which is smaller than the screw. So the reason why we're going to drill all the way through the wood is once I cut that piece of sheet metal and we clamp it to this piece of wood, we can flip this over and we'll be able to determine where those holes are originally that go through the metal by just drilling from the backside forward out. I probably won't be able to get these ones down here, but I know I can get those upper ones. I don't really know what I'm going to do on those lower ones yet. I could probably measure them, but getting 5 holes exactly in the same spot is going to be kind of difficult. So for now, looks like somebody already drilled through this one with a bigger hole. Okay. Those are all drilled. Now what I have to do is measure or mark the edge of the control panel here and just the edge of the control panel up here. Just like that. Now we're going to get a measurement here. 5.5 inches. Come over here, 5.5 inches. On this edge over here, I'm just going to run my finger up it. So that's good there. Now I need to get a straight edge to mark that one, and then we can cut this out with the grinder and sand the edges so that it's not rough. And then at that point, we can clamp it to this piece of wood, mark the 3 holes, and start drilling these upper holes for the screws. So let me go get a grinder and a straight edge. All right, let's get this marked. All right, let's go cut it with the grinder here. I'm just going to take my little grinder again with my air hose and grind this down, because obviously it leaves a little bit of a lip. Now, if you guys need to cut metal like this and you're not comfortable with cutting a straight line freehand, take a piece of wood and clamp it to your metal right up against the line, and then just run your cutting wheel right on that edge of that wood, and it'll give you a nice straight cut. Let me grab my grinder again. Okay, I'm just gonna grind this down real quick. Get this lip off of here. Okay, a little bit more here. Now the cut side, the long cut side, I'm gonna put it on the edge that's gonna get bondoed. Now, unfortunately, this plate will never come back off again because I'm gonna have to kind of bondo it in. I guess it could come back off, you know, but we'll put the cut edge down here. So I'm gonna go grab some clamps and then we can start marking those holes that we need to drill into this. And I gotta figure out what size that joystick hole is too. Okay, I have the metal clamped into position right where I want it. It's perfectly flush on both sides and the top. This, like I said, we'll worry about that after. We'll bondo that in. So now what we need to do is get this flipped over and we need to mark the holes for the buttons, the joystick, and let's drill these little holes first with this small bit. And we can bondo these in underneath because I'm going to bondo over those, all the chips and everything just to smooth everything out. So we'll just bondo these back in and you'll never even notice it. Now this is bare sheet metal, so I'm going to have to paint the bottom side before I install it onto this, because I don't want it to start rusting underneath between the wood and the metal. So we'll just spray can it with some black paint and then we'll put it on, and then we're just going to paint the whole control panel black because that will protect the metal on the outside as well, just so we don't have anything rusting up on us. Now these, I don't know, I might be able to get it in there. This hole saw, we're going to use the same hole saw because this Milwaukee 1.125" hole saw is good for metal and wood. It doesn't last a super long time, but they do last quite a while. I made a little mark for a pilot hole. That's really all I need because we could drill it after we take it off. Now, I need to figure out what size hole that is, and I also need to figure out the center of that hole. So that might be a little difficult. I guess what we can do is find my Sharpie, wherever I might have put that. There it is on the floor. And maybe we can just trace around it. I still got to clean a little bondo out around the edge, but let's trace around this. Then we know exactly where it's at. Now, I need to mark these other 5 holes and these 4 joystick holes. I guess the joystick holes, we can start with this small drill bit. Well, we should probably use the correct one, which I think was 3/16 yesterday. Nope, that's too small. 7/32 was the size that we used yesterday. I know I can probably mark these 2. There's one. And there's only half of that one showing, but I should be able to get it. Hopefully. Okay, those two are marked. Now, I wish I had something skinny I can put in there that would leave a mark. I mean, I could put the drill bit in here and tap on it, but I don't know that that's going to leave a mark or not. I need to buy an angle drill bit or angle drill attachment. I have one that works for like screws, but I don't have one that actually you could put a drill bit into. So I need to figure out what the heck am I going to do that. This marker doesn't come apart, does it? Let me go see if I can find something that would maybe fit in that hole that we could just make a little dot or something. Let's try taking this pen apart here, and maybe we can, I don't know, maybe we could just pull that tip out and then the ink will kind of leak out of it. Maybe I can cut it, not making a mess. Pulled it out, but I don't know that ink's going to come out of it. Be nice if it did. I'm just waiting to shoot myself with ink or something. Blow through it? No. All right. Well, that's not going to work. I do have one other idea that is going to work. I have these little touch-up brushes for cars. This will definitely fit in these two joystick holes. So we can put a little paint on it and do those two. Maybe if I cut this fluffy tip off, we might be able to sneak it into those little holes, because this is pretty small in size. So let's try that. We have basically 6 holes that we need to mark, 7 holes. And then we could take the metal off, get these holes drilled out, and we'll be good to go. It's probably all I'll do on this video, time-wise. But we're getting somewhere. This is basically like the last hard part that we need to do. What I'm doing is I'm taking this and going around the whole perimeter of the hole, so I kind of know where the hole actually is by just trying. If I just put a little dot and hope I'm in the center, chances are I'll be off, and then when I drill the hole, it's not going to match. So let me just make sure that there's enough paint in there. Okay, either I can leave the fuzzy on or take it off. Let's see if we can stick it into those little holes. Okay, it fits. Boy, it's gonna be close. It might be doing it. I think it is. I think it's just long enough. Man, that would be nice if it is. Now, if for some reason this isn't long enough and it doesn't leave a mark, we can always clamp it back on and do it again. This one's gonna work on the end here because that one was drilled too big. So that I'm gonna have to Bondo in, and we'll have to drill a new hole so that the screw has something to grab onto. Okay, let's see if that worked. So we will get this unclamped. Still got to figure out what size the joystick hole is. Hopefully I have a drill bit for it. Sweet. So that worked pretty good. You can see all these holes. Obviously those are a little bigger than we need, but that's fine. It's not a big deal. Let's go ahead and drill those 5 small ones first. Actually, I have this drill bit here in my hand, or right next to me. We'll do this one first. The last 2 joystick holes. Make sure I don't drill into the counter here. We're just going to center it right in that blob of paint. Beautiful. Let's do these 5 holes at the top. Now this, we're gonna have to go bigger than this hole, than this drill bit, but that's fine for now. This just marks where it's at. We'll just pick the center of it. Okay, now that we have that drilled, let's figure out how big this hole is for the joystick. We got to go to the outer perimeter of the blue. So from 2 inches, it is, looks like it's 1 7/8 inches. Right around 1 7/8 inches. So if it's 1 7/8 inches, half of that would be what? 1 inch and 1 inch is 2 inches. Try to use tape measure here. So we're at 2 inches, 7/8 and 7/8, okay, just over 7/8. So 15/16. Yep, 15/16 is half of 1 7/8. Hopefully I'm right and I don't screw my math up. Okay, let's just measure from the center out. Yep, okay. So I don't know that I have 1 7/8 hole saw. I might have 1.5 inches. I can always drill it with 1.5 inches and then have to ream it out, which I don't like doing because it's real hard to keep a circle doing it that way. But we'll try. I need to drill a pilot hole for this hole saw bit because that bit on the end is getting dull. So we already have our little marks in here. Having a good set of drill bits is really important for anything that you do. That looks good to me. Right on the money. And those little holes are right on because I can see through them. So we are getting there. So now we need the joystick hole. Let me go see what I have for hole saw bits. Two-inch. Inch and a half. Don't want to make it too big. But to be honest with you, if I can just get it dead center, I guess 2 inches won't be too bad. That's only a 1/16 bigger all the way around, which really isn't that bad. I think we'll just go with that. So the gap will be a little bit of a gap between the metal of the joystick and the control panel overlay, but a 1/16 all the way around, I'm not gonna be too concerned about that. Probably should pre-drill this center hole as well. little bit of debris stuck there. We'll get that with my grinder. So now let's check this. A little bigger than I'd like. Since I'm not too concerned with this plate coming back off again, what I might do is just Bondo that where it's a little big. I might just Bondo that in after I mount it to the metal or mount it to the wood plate. I'm just gonna do that. I think it'll be fine. Because there's no reason for it to come back off. You know what I mean? Everything else lines up great. Even the joystick holes for the mounting, perfect. So now let's open up these holes for the screws so we can get that figured out. And we need to countersink these heads. We're probably not going to be able to put the screw all the way in the metal, but actually, yeah, we're going to drill the holes pretty big so that the screw goes in most of the way. And then whatever little bit of the head is sticking up out of the metal, we'll just grind it flat. I probably could have got away without putting a metal back on here, but I just figured I might as well. Gives it a nice smooth solid surface for the CPO. So if I have a hole that size, oh boy. And also guys, if you buy one of these hole saw bits, save these pieces that you drill out. Because if you need to fix a metal control panel and you need to plug in a hole that you don't want, it's almost a perfect size. You're never gonna get a washer that's gonna match as close as these are. So make sure you save these because they're always helpful. I have a whole bunch of them. Okay, so that's a good size hole. That almost sits flush. It only sticks up a little bit. I'll just grind that down after it's screwed into the wood. So I'm gonna drill these 9 holes. And then after that, we need to just deburr this and we'll see where we're at after that. So I'm gonna go ahead and drill the rest of these and then I'll come back. All right, get the burrs off around these holes. Let's screw it onto here and see what it looks like. Okay. Let's see what we got here. One screw, remember, is not going to go in because it is oh, you know what? That's okay. I didn't need to drill these all the way through, but that's fine. I'll stick bolts through there and then I will weld them on the back side and we'll grind the head off. One of these holes right here is too big for the screw, so we won't put one right there. But I just want to kind of see how this lines up with the screws in it. Okay, we'll Bondo that in. flush with the wood. Then that'll look good. This hole is a tiny bit off right there. So what I'll probably do is just remount that wood just a tiny bit. This one's perfect. It's pretty darn perfect on the top. A tiny bit of wood's hanging out right here, which I'll probably just grind that down. And this plastic covers it anyway, so you're never gonna see it. So basically, let's end this video here. The next step, we're gonna be doing the body work on it. We'll have to paint the backside of this plate. I'll let it dry. I'll probably just do that off camera. I'll just paint the backside satin black so that when we come back, we can, I'm not gonna do any body work to the wood underneath here, or am I going to put any paint on the wood underneath the metal? I'm not worried about that. It's not gonna deteriorate or anything like that. We'll just get some paint, black paint on the backside of this metal. We'll let it dry. We'll put it on, we'll get it mounted, we'll grind these screw heads down, we'll Bondo this edge here, we'll Bondo in this so that it's perfectly flush with the wood. Oh shoot, before I paint, we're gonna have to weld studs on there. There's always something to do before you gotta do something. You always gotta think ahead of time. So I need to weld studs on here next, and then we could spray paint it and then put it on and start doing the body work on the outside. All right, we're gonna end this video here. I had a little bit of time tonight. I didn't think I'd have time. I figured I'd be home from work later than I got home, so it worked out good. We got the hard part done now. Now it's just finessing it, making it look good. So, all right, guys, that's gonna end part 5 of the bubbles. Part 6 will be finishing this thing up and getting it ready for, and getting it painted so that we can get the overlay on it. I'm debating on if I want to paint the outside of this white or black. I'm leaning towards white because of the control panels, like a bluish color. It might make it look a little better if I paint it white. So, all right, guys, that's going to end part 5 of Bubbles. If you guys are liking what you're seeing, please like and subscribe. And any questions or comments, feel free to ask. And other than that, I will see you guys later.